Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. Working on block number 2 of our 9-block section. This one is called Paddlin. It's right there, number 1224, for you to follow along with if you like. Okay, so stay tuned and we'll proceed with the rest of the block. Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. This is Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, working on block number 2 of 9. So we're doing this, just showed you. And what I've done is done all the bottom pieces, these ones right here, and I'll show you how to do the top piece and then sew it all together, okay? So as it says in here, it says see pattern sheet number 4, which I did, and I traced just with regular copy paper from your copy machine. And it's right set, there we go. And you just have to trace it all out with the seam allowance and make sure you mark in which order you sew it in, because that is extremely important, and the color you want in that section, because I've had baby boo-boo and had to change it, so it's okay. Lesson learned. So easily to do that without any issue, just do a little copy, and with a pen, as you can well see, I just use a regular photo paper and a pen, and then the order it needs to be sewn, and the colors I was going to use, okay? So in the block, traditionally, the ocean's blue and the sky's blue and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, in the world of Laura Lynn and the Mom Pop Quilt Shop, I do what I want because I like to. So I'm using black as the bottom, water, the deepy part of the water, and white for the sky. So I've already done all of them. Little birdie birds here, okay? See that? And you can see all my paper piecing is still all on the back. I have not ripped it off, okay? You got to do that really gently. So, and as they say, if you're going to use like a thick paper like I am, use a really close seam stitch so it's easy to peel the paper apart. Just kind of full rip and away you go. So we're going to work on the beak first, because that's what I've been doing. Work on the beak and then the body, beak and then the body. So here's our first piece that we're going to work here. So here's number 1, right there. So, and that's a white piece. So I'm going to go white and then orange and then white. Okay. So I've got my white here. And I'm just going to make sure I cut a big enough piece to cover that section and then some, like literally double it up. A lesson I've learned this whole process today of paper piecing is I have to not be so stingy with my fabric. I've redone things like 3 times because I was too cheap. So lesson learned. So cut yourself a nice big chunk to do that white piece, okay? And then I make sure you cut another big white piece to do that top piece right there, okay? Super easy, and we'll make sure we're just going to cut the chunks necessary. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to go in here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make sure it's even bigger, because I really don't want to be learning this lesson more times today. Why? Because sometimes they're not fun. Alright, so where did my piece go? Right, oh, there we go. Okay, so we're going to sew the white part on first. Not sew it, but okay, place it on the back side of it. Okay. And then you got your little orange piece for your beak. Okay, and I'll show you. I'll turn it to my assistant camera here in one moment so they can see how I'm lining it up and to allow for the seam allowance to shadow, so you can see shadow through, okay? Because you have your white piece and your orange piece, because your orange piece is your beak part, right? And you want to make sure you have a big enough section to cover that and that with your 2 pieces, and you're going to sew that line right there in between the 1 and the 2 pieces together. And then we'll do between the 2 and the 3 piece, okay? So that right there, we're going to move back over here. And I just, because this is a black, white, and purple quilt, I've used just black and white thread. So I think I used light purple for last weekend. You can tell I have my old Janome out. I was doing some continuous piecing, so I figured just have the old beastie out to work it. Okay, so there, I folded up my piece, so it's going to cover, I'll go over to this camera here, it's going to cover that whole section that I needed to do for the white and the orange. I'm just going to turn it around so they can see, so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm sure you can see by the shadow effect that I've clearly covered that whole triangle necessary for that orange piece, right? So now, go back over to here. Take your other folded piece of white. Line her up in the back. Okay. Oops, no, it's actually lined up on the side. My bad. But I want to make sure that when folded, after I sew that seam there, that when I flip it this way, it's going to cover that white piece. Look, see, if I would have sewn that, I would have had some tears once again. So I'm going to make sure I'm using the big, tall part of this fabric to make sure that I'm going to have enough space. Hopefully. Let's do this again as a holdy unit here. There we go. Yeah, sorry. Okay. And then up that way. So if I were to put the seam there, it just covers that corner. So I think I may want to shift this down just a little bit because you're doing funny angles. You're not all straight, right? You're doing all funny little angles. Okay. So let's line that up. Okay, they did say to trim it. So trim your previous one, fold it on the edge. Okay. Line it up and then use your little seam allowance ruler like this and do a little trim. Okay. And then that way, when you sew on the fabric at the back, it's not going to be too confusing. We can shut and close that or trim that off later. Okay, so we want to make sure we have enough to go this whole triangle. Okay, so that seems like we're okay, I think. So if I were to sew that there, is that going to be enough? Well, I think we said we had to move it down. There we go. If not, rinse and repeat. Oh, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy. Learning something new. Wait till we come to Y seams. That's in a few blocks from now. We'll both be crying. Okay. There we go. So there's all the pieces. Okay, I'll try and hold it up so you can see it. I'll show my main camera here. Okay. And then we trim. So all the pieces are covered. Okay. So all the pieces are covered. And we just got to trim to the edge of the paper all the way around. Okay. So I'm just going to lay that there. And do a little trim. Make sure you have it all where it's supposed to be. Okay. And use your marks that you use for tracing out the pattern as your guide to trim the block. Okay. Try not to cut your paper. Your rotary cutter will not like it. Okay. Mind your fingers too. Don't forget to cut off the top part here. You don't need the top part of that triangle. It's just wasted fabric. Okay. And be sure to twist the block if you need to. Twist it towards you so you can trim it properly. Okay. Make sure it's all lined up. Cut the paper. Oh, what did I do? Cut the paper. Okay, so that's the beak. Or that's the beak, depending on how we sew it on, to the big duck. Okay, so we're going to put that off to the side. And this is what we're going to use for the fabric for the big duck. So I got my big section here. Okay, so number one, we're going to do down here, which is the sky color, which is white. Okay, and then number two is pink, but we're using this purple. So we're going to use a white color, a white piece, and a pink piece to sew this up. Okay, so let's not be stingy. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're a big chunk here. And and then a pink piece. So we'll make sure we've got a big enough piece. Pink, purple, green, blue, orange, whatever you're going to use. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. Okay, so there's our piece. We're going to put it at the back. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to put our pink piece right on top in space number 2 and do our sew. Okay? Just like that. And so, and of course I had to tape this one together, so I'm sure it's going to make some funky little sounds as it's going by. Okay, so here we go. And probably not nearly as easy to rip as the other pieces. I thought of that after I taped it. I went, maybe not such a smart idea. And I'm like, how was I supposed to get it together? Maybe a different tape. Okay, so there we go. There's that. It's covering our pink. It's covering our white that we need for space 1 and 2. Okay. So piece number 3 is also white, and we're going to, like I say, fold it on that edge, that line that's there, to give for your quarter seam allowance, because you really need to have the bulk of this other stuff removed, right? You got to trim as you go. Some are like that, some are not. Some you can trim all afterwards. Okay, there we go. Fold that back. Then put another white piece right here. Make sure it's big enough to cover what I need. Okay, see? And we just keep rinsing and repeating, and rinsing and repeating. See, I'm so stingy I didn't even want to waste thread, so. I was using the little snips instead of the scissors. Okay, so there's piece 3. Okay, we're making this happen, people. All right, piece number 4. This big one over here. Okay, I want to make sure I have this on the right angle here. And you'll see why. See? Trying to follow that line that goes between piece number 2, 3, and 4. Well, it connects the 2 and 3, I think it is, right? So make sure we're sewing that correctly. Hopefully I did that okay. Probably should have trimmed. What did I do there? Oh, I did. Shoot, I should have trimmed. I caught the bottom part of the other panel. My bad. Hold on a second here. That's okay. It's quick fix. Easy peasy quick fix. There, that's what I caught. So I was like, wait a second, that looks a little wanky. Okay. So note to self, and note when you're sewing, make sure you're only sewing what you need to sew together and nothing more. Okay. Minor delay. Alrighty. Okay, so wayward fibers here. Okay, so there's our 1, 2, 3, and 4. And our last big piece that goes right up here is number 5. Okay, and that's a nice big piece of white, which I have here already. I'm gonna have to do that whole fold on this whole line here to allow for that seam allowance to the other side. Okay, so fold the line. Alright, come back. Do it your little quick rotary cutter. Or even scissors. I mean, you could just pin it for a second or finger press. Okay, we'll trim up the rest afterwards, okay? So we want to make sure we're getting a nice clean piece for number 5. Turn it over. Make sure when flipped, that's going to clear that whole piece, right? You want to make sure it clears the whole piece. You can use these scrappy bits for something else. I mean, I'm such a frugal person. I'm going to give myself a nice clean edge. So just a moment here. I find it easier, especially when you're trying to do a nice straight seam, to give yourself a nice clean edge. Just like that, okay? And then flip. If you have to pin or do a little press of glue or something like that, you know, by all means, do so. There's lots of water-soluble glues. The school glues are all water-soluble. I would say all. Let's say most of them anyways, because that'll be the one time I get printed wrong. The one time. I'm sorry, the many times. Who am I to say I don't do anything wrong? Alrighty. Okay, are we good? Oh, that just covered that corner. Okay, now we turn this over and we do a nice big trim. Let's get the rest of this fluffy stuff out of here. Okay, clean up our little space a bit. Okay. And we're going to do some trimmings. Okay, so that came really close on that corner. That's why I mean you really got to fold and make sure you're clearing everything you need. Okay. Now we are almost done. Block number 2. Do 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 do. Block number 2. Do 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 do. Block number 2. You're almost there, my fine feathered fins. I was going to say sewers, but that really seemed to be consistent with the feathered friends going on here. Okay, so there is our big quackity quack with its beak. So now we're going to sew that on. Okay, so join those two pieces together. I will show you what I'm doing to the little camera in a moment. Okay, so you line those pieces up from tip to tip, and you're going to sew on that seam allowance right there. Okay, from edge to edge. If you need to pop in a pin, pop in a pin. But I, as you well know, am a rebel. So I'm just gonna sew. Cool, eh? See, now we got to put those other sections together. Okay, so there's our block. This little finger press. Let's get rid of those guys. We don't need them. Get them out of here. Okay, so now we want to make sure we have our proper placement. We have this ducky that needs to go. Okay, hold on a second here. That one is confusing me for the moment. Okay, that one's that one. This one's that one. And then this one is that one. Okay, there we go. So let me just turn it around here. Doesn't take much to get me confused. Can see it clearly. Nope. Okay, wait a second. No, okay. I had it right first way. Clearly, I can't work upside down. Okay, that's the middle one. That's to end. Yeah, okay. There we go. Look at this. No paddocks. Okay, so now I'm going to sew these two pieces together and then these two pieces together. Okay? So line it up like I showed you to do the first time around. All the way up from edge to edge. Okay? And then sew on a nice seam allowance. Okay? Oops. Helps foot down. Put your foot down. Okay. Just line it up. Tail's supposed to be okay. Tail's supposed to go together. Okay. And this one here, same thing. Line it up from edge to edge. Okay, and then stitch. Okay, so there's that section sewn together. Okay. And now we're going to put it to this section. Making sure, of course, your fabric wants to shift. Some people actually have a tendency, they stitch all the way around here. They stitch all the way around the edge to the paper. So I've seen it. But I'm thinking maybe it might have been a good handy at some of those longer pieces, it might be a good idea. We've got, I think our next one is also paper piecing. So don't give up. We got this. Oh, there we go. All right. Try and hold it together. And another way to sometimes get this paper off is people wet it. They wet the block and then the paper just kind of falls off. Let me flip here for a second. Do some little shift and maneuvering. There we go. Alright, let's see how that turned out. Create some threads. My little finger stretching and finger pressing. Alright, I'll show the big camera first. And now show the little camera. Not bad. I think it looks pretty darn good. To our block. And we can add a moon, we can add stars, we can add northern lights, we can add a hot air balloon. We could add whatever you like, except it says full. All right, so thanks everybody for partaking in this weekend's project, block number 2 of 9. This is Paddlin number 1224, and stay tuned for block number 3, which is this sparkle star. Same page, and I think it's the same. Well, actually, no, I'll have to trace out the whole same foundation paper piecing and everything. Okay, so thanks everybody for sticking around for this weekend project, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.